Oh my goodness. What in the heck? Why on earth would you buy a Corvette in this kind of condition? That's what this video is about. Welcome back to the channel. This is a Corvette project that I recently got, and I'm going to tell you guys why you would want to buy a Corvette in this kind of condition. Actually, it wasn't in this condition when I bought it. I'll talk about what I did, but first I want to welcome you back to the channel. And in this video, I want to talk about a few things you really want to look out for when you're buying a Corvette, and maybe just give you some tips and advice. So if you are looking at getting a classic car, you don't waste your money. You spend your money wisely, and you are successful in having the car that you want to have. Whether you plan on keeping it like I do or you're going to flip it, doesn't really matter. But let me tell you what's going on with this one. So this is a 71 standard, L46. So it has a 350 engine, which is great. I like the 350. Nothing wrong with 350s. Makes the car 100 plus pounds lighter, and in some cases you get just as much power as a little bit newer big block. So, but what I like about this car, and this is the number one thing, is you get the car you want first, right? Get the vet you want. So this is of the year, the 68 to 72s had the chrome bumpers, right, front and back. And I wanted that. And the bumpers were in good shape. And that's another thing, is that most of the components on this car, I mean, look at the engine, for example. Most of the components on this were original. The engine's been rebuilt. It does have an Edelbrock intake, but most of these other components are original, which is great. And we'll talk about why that's important in a minute. But let's get back to number one. You buy the car you want. And in this case, I wanted chrome bumper vet. I wanted something pre-1975 because I'm in California here, and that means no smog checks forever. That's what that means. Also, it's red originally. It was repainted orange, like Corvette orange, but it's a red vet. And you can check your color and interior right here, right? The trim, 400 trim is black, 973 paint is red. So I like red, and I didn't want to just get a vet and paint it red. I wanted a red vet. So it maintains some of the consistency and integrity, with what it is. It's a manual, right? So it's hard to tell right now, but it's a stick, it's a 4-speed, and that's also something I wanted. So we've got chrome bumper, convertible, manual, red, black interior. So that checks all the boxes for me. This is the car that I want. So that I'm good, right? So I'm not wishing I had gotten something else. It also came, now let me talk a little bit about, I'm going to talk over the helicopter. Hope they don't see me. It came with the hardtop, and the hardtop is in good shape. It's old. All this stuff is 50 years old. It's a project car. It definitely, needs work, and that's fine. I'm okay with the work. I bought it from a local dealer. I know you guys want to know how much I paid. I'm in Southern California, so things might be a little more expensive here. And I'm okay with that because I'm not trying to flip cars, right? So I paid about 15 and change, 16,000, let's just say 16 out the door with tax and everything. And so I'm fine with that because I have it now. So that's the other thing about this game, you guys. You can't own a car that you don't buy. You got to buy it, right? You got to have it. So I'm okay if I paid, you might say, oh, you overpaid for that. Well, you know what? I don't care because it's in my driveway now. And it actually came with a lot of the original parts. And why is that important? Well, we'll talk about that more in a second, but why is that important? Well, first of all, let me tell you, in case you don't know, Corvette stuff's expensive. So for example, if you want to replace this side of the dash area, there's two halves, right? There's one over here, and there's a middle console. If you want to buy this guy, it's $450. You want to buy the Speedo Tech side, another $450. You want to buy the center, $200-300. This piece right here that goes around the shifter, $200-300. Just the parking brake plastic, $100. So it's pricey. Do you want to get, how about a logo? Do you want a logo? Do you want to have Stingray right here? $100 or 50, sorry, $50. Badge for here. You get a couple flags. $50 for that piece of plastic. So this stuff's expensive. You might want to research how expensive parts are for Corvettes before you jump in, so you're not surprised, you know, just so you can plan. You want to buy this? The air intake with the chrome top. This is original. A few $100 for this. I mean, if you can find it. You can still find a lot of these parts around. It's not like you can't find them, but you're going to be spending money. So I rebuilt, I'm going to talk about the car for a second, and then I'm going to talk about another thing you need to check. That's really important. But this is the original engine. It had been rebuilt, but I did a top end rebuild. So I left it in the car. I took it down to the heads, you know, took the heads off, had them machined, you know, updated everything, cleaned everything up, repainted some stuff, had these glass blasted, the aluminum. It just was looking pretty haggard. So I cleaned up the engine, got it working. Engine's fine now. I am going to add a brake booster. So there's a couple things I'm going to do to make this car a little more enjoyable for myself. But let me get back to one of the most important things, and many people have talked about this. I'm not the only one, but I want to reiterate, super, super important, you guys, is check the frame. All right, I got this from a local dealer, which is also why I probably paid a little more than some of you are paying out there from private parties. Because obviously the dealer got it for cheaper than they sold it to me for, which I'm okay with. Again, I'm not doing this to flip cars, but you got to, I had them put this up on a lift. I said, I need to check the frame. I got my flashlight. I started, you know, all the critical areas. You got to look at all this. This has also been repainted since I bought it. You got to get under here. You got to look underneath here, all of this. You got to look inside these holes. Hello. You got to look up here, right? There's no flashlight right now, but you know what I mean. You've got to check the frame. And this car was a California, it is a California car. I have a lot of the history. I know where it was. I have the paperwork, maintenance work. There was pretty good amount of paper on this car. And even though it was parked outside for a number of years, and I know it was because I pulled a ton of pine needles out of here, a ton of pine needles out of here, a ton of pine needles out of here, all right? So it was outside, but it is pretty rust-free. The frame, actually, the lower part is super solid, nothing down there. The only part that concerns me at all is up here. And this looks kind of gnarly, but actually it was just like a layer that flaked off. And this is still really solid. So even though there's a little bit of funkiness around here, I mean, that's to be expected, but it's actually really solid, nothing to be concerned with. So that checks all the boxes. So let's review real quick. And then I'm going to talk about parts and what you can do to make it more affordable if you are going to get a vet, what you want to look for and what you can do to make it, to save some money. But A, you buy the car you want. You know, are blue vets pretty? Sure. If you like blue, if you like green, get a blue or green vet. I like red. I wanted to go with the classic. So when I saw this, it's, you know, red with black. To me, that's number one. It's a manual. It's a convertible. I live in Southern California. You know, I want a convertible. I have a convertible M3, red with black over there. I love it. It's a chrome bumper, right? It's got the front and back chrome bumper, and the bumpers were on the car and they were in good shape. So I don't need to re-chrome them. They do look a little old, which is fine, but there's no dents in them. So they're totally usable. Just clean them up. The other thing is no smog, right? So that's a big plus out here. That's it as far as the actual functioning of the car. Now, here's another thing you want to look for. And this car had it, which is a lot of original parts. It had the original dash, pretty good shape. Nothing was not repairable. So I'm able to use, and I wish I had it here, I don't have it here, but both sides of the dash, I'm just gonna clean up. I'm gonna repair them, the center, the shifter, I don't know what it's called, but this area, shifter control area, It's all reusable. Well, except for actually the vinyl plastic part around here I had to buy. So a couple $100 there. It's all usable. The seats were completely trashed, but I got new foam and covers and redid the seats, reconditioned the metal, cleaned it up, had it sandblasted and painted and lubed up, and redid the seats. I'll show you the seats later. They came out great. I'm doing some fiberglass stuff. It's had a luggage rack on it, which I decided not to keep. I'm doing a luggage rack delete. I'm just not a huge fan of the luggage rack, so I deleted it. Just do good work, use good materials, and you can do it, and it'll turn out fine. If I didn't mention it already, I think I did, but it came with the hard top. So I've got the hard top and the convertible, and the soft top and the hard top. So I'm going to do a couple updates to make it nicer for myself. One is I'm going to put vintage air in. This is just the heater, right? It's just heater. It didn't come with AC, which is actually great because I save money on the car. It's a little bit cheaper, and a lot of these need to be replaced anyway. They're just old. All the vents and everything, they get all crusty. So I'm going to put vintage air in it. That's going to be really nice for Southern California. New heater, new AC. Awesome. So I'm doing that. And I will save some engine bay space over here because that just is a super big, bulky item here. And then I'm going to put a brake booster in because I like to be able to stop. So that's a safety feature. I'm just going to add a brake booster. A lot of these cars did come with power brakes. It was an option, just as was the seat belts. So it's going to have shoulder belts. I'm adding those. I already cut out the seat, section where you can run the belts through when I did the rebuild of the seats, and I bought the 3-point harness, 3-point belts. So I'm doing a couple little things to make the car more enjoyable, to perform better, to be safer, and be more comfortable. Other than that, it's going to look pretty much like a stock car. And what you can do, so when you're shopping around, what you need to do is really look at the condition of the parts and say, okay, do they just look beat up, but they're actually okay? Or are they damaged? Because there's a difference, right? If you look at a Vette and you see big cracks and gouges and there's things that are broken, like for example, these door panels, they were just kind of beat. They were beat up. I bought new door panels. I bought new sill plates because the old sill plates were just completely scratched up and trashed, and they had bends in them, and I didn't want to deal with it. But as much as you can, buy a car that has repairable items. They need a little TLC, and then you're good to go. Because all of this stuff, anything you buy for a Corvette, you're going to spend money. I mean, right? Go buy these letters, which I did already. Everything's $50, This cover, this lens cap here, $50. Look them up. Fortunately, I only needed one, and it has the original 71 lens covers on it. Not that, this is not going to be a judged car, so it doesn't really matter. But as many things as you can buy, as you can save it. If you need to buy it, you can go for used. I bought the original GM license plate frame, $90. You can, in some cases, buy some foreign-made, knockoff items. I prefer not to do that. I like to have the serial number, the GM part on there, even if it's a little bit older. But that's just me. You can do whatever you want. I will do other things like insulate the whole interior. I had to do a little fiberglass repair over here. I also did a little fiberglass repair in the front right here. There was a big gouge right here. This was a chunk missing. But look at that. I repaired it myself. It's in the driveway. Turned out okay. Again, it's not going to be a judged car, so I don't really care that much about that. I just want it to work and look good. So that's it. I hope this video is helpful. So let's just review. First of all, number one, buy the car you want. Buy the car you want to drive. This car has, it ticks all the boxes for me. Number two, super important, you've got to check the frame for rust. right? If there's any rust in there, if it's looking shaky, walk away. Just walk away from it. You could be getting into $10,000-$20,000 worth of work, as well as an unsafe vehicle if you buy a car with rust. So that's super important, you guys. Number 3, check the condition of the components. You know, how many original parts does it have? Do you even care? Check the interior components. You know, things like wheels. You know, the handles, the badges, like the interior of the door here. Like, these are used, but they're okay. I can clean them up and use them. All this interior stuff can run you a lot of money. So just look at it. It doesn't have to be perfect. If it's fixable, then it's worth the money, I think. You know, a little bit of paint, a little bit of steel wool cleans up chrome really well. And you can just put in the time. You don't have to put in the money, right? And that's it. That's what I have for you guys. So I'll be posting progress on this vet. And thanks for dropping by the channel. I hope this is helpful. If it is, thumb up it, and subscribe, like, you know. I'll also be posting some videos on the 68 Chevy. I'm doing some work on that, but that's another video for another time. Thanks for dropping by, you guys.